always about control. SA is always about control. It's not about somebody that just, because you'll hear people go, doesn't make sense. What, the guy couldn't get laid with $1 billion? He had to go do that. Of course he could get laid. Of course he could find somebody. That's not what he wants. Some people call it psychic vampirism. Some people, call it, there's a word that if I say on here, we're going to get demonetized. But there are people out there that literally suck energy from you. And there's a word for that energy. You guys know what it is. It starts with an A. But there are people that believe that what he's doing is a form of psychic vampirism, that he's bringing these people in and he is stealing anything positive from these people. He thrives off of that energy. You may think I'm a nut. I'm repeating things that other people believe. And I do 100% believe that this man enjoys the evilness of what he is doing. Since the last time we were here, there was a very graphic description by someone who has accused Shaun Combs of SA. He and someone else. This is the person who was hogtied. This is a person who was being orally raped and vomited because of it. You shove something down someone's throat, that kind of thing happens. And allegedly, he sat and laughed while this was happening. This is the face of evil, right? For real. You would think that a human at some point would say, oh my God, what am I doing? To look at someone at that level of suffering would bring out the humanity that you have deep inside you. That kernel of humanity that couldn't watch somebody kick a puppy. This guy's suing $100 million the Peacock Network because the Peacock Network made a pretty damn good documentary about him. He claims that they were pulling stuff out of midair, right? Kind of like our jackass Eminem. No facts there. They interviewed a guy that lived with him, who was for all intents and purposes his brother. They did a really phenomenal job at chasing down some stories of people that knew him better than most people. He doesn't like the truth coming out. He hates that. But the stories we're hearing, these are from people that know this guy, right? Woofy, just what you think, was being shoved down someone's throat. Shaun Combs was being shoved down someone's throat. The yacht incident, as of this moment right now, you're talking about the woman that worked on a yacht. Her last name is O'Markey, and she alleges that Shaun Combs' son groped her, whipped his junk out, tried to force her to perform a sex act on him. As of this moment, that has not been picked up for criminal prosecution. It is, however, within the statutes and limitations, so that we're probably going to see criminal charges come of that. I don't know that there are a lot of people that I don't think that there are. We're going to see a really good chance. There's a really good chance we're going to see a criminal case come out of that. Her story is pretty solid. If you listen to it, and again, because Little Rod happened to be there at the same time, the boat was wired for sound. The boat had cameras in it. I don't see how there's any way that his kid does not get at least, he may not get charged with the R word, but sexual battery. There's a lot of charges that I think would be coming. Yes, it is odd that it is all on. Yes, wow, you got the irony of the hat. I'm glad that you did. Doesn't seem that everybody does, but that's okay. So yes, there is a rumor right now that Bianca is filing for divorce from Kanye West. Can you blame her? Can you blame her? I was saying, people, you will remember this, when she walked out onto that carpet, maybe he forced her. Maybe he did not force her. But are you going to tell me, with what's going on in the world right now, with Cassie Ventura's lawsuit getting settled, with all of this, you don't think that that his wife went, if I filed for divorce right now, I said it that day, If she files for divorce and says, I didn't want to take my clothing off on the carpet, he forced me to do that. You don't see what's going on behind the scenes, but he has been forcing me to do this, 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 and this, right? I have been forced to do this, this, this. 100%. They are going to lean in her direction. Do you think? With everything Kanye has done to make himself look crazy, Bianca could come out and say anything, and she's going to be believed. I will be shocked, and I mean literally shocked, if we don't hear some bizarre claims come out during their divorce proceedings. They may all be true, but when you're as kooky, do you like what I did there? Kooky. When you are as kooky as Kanye West, anything they accuse Kanye West of, people are going to believe anything. He came out and said, I am Adolf Hitler. This guy's category J in the United States of America. If he was incarcerated, they would say he's been deemed category J, J-Cat. He's crazy. He's crazy. This is a person that has demonstrated, a lot of times there are certain things I want to talk about because we need to be critical thinkers. We really do. We got to be critical thinkers. So we're going to go over a couple of other things here real quick. There's not an amount of money on planet Earth that would get somebody to take his place in prison. Stop with that. It's got to stop. Honestly, we're smarter than that. You can't imagine how bad prison is to start with. Ask Shaun, as a Brit that came to the United States and did time. Ask Shaun how bad it is doing time in this country. That's number one. We did easy time. We didn't go in there with paperwork that said you're a weirdo. This guy is going in with the worst paperwork you could go into prison with. I mean, the worst. There's not much you could do to have worse paperwork than what he's going to be going into prison with. How do you pay somebody for that? Then, clone? When did they decide to clone him? Clones don't grow up overnight. If you were to clone someone, it would take 54 years before he could then take that person's spot. You do understand this, right? God, it's absolutely amazing. This was classic, wasn't it? Orlando Brown has said in an interview that that he had made an attempt to try to bail Diddy out. I love Orlando. I really love Orlando. But he is one of those people that he's one of those people you can't tell, right? You can't tell whether or not the guy's being serious, man. Linda, did you see the leash? This was typical BDSM behavior for them both. Allegedly, she's super into that, but allegedly Linda Lovelace liked all of the stuff that when you have a man that is in a position over you, the way that Kanye West is. I said this the day on the carpet. I don't believe for a second that they were sitting having dinner one night and she went, hey, can I go on the red carpet naked when we do the Grammys? Honestly, put a 2 in the chat if you think the idea to go naked on the carpet was Kanye's. Put a 3 in the chat if you think that idea was put out there by his wife, Ms. Censori. Perfect last name. She censors herself. Isn't censor? That's Latin for censor, isn't it? That is too funny, man. Too funny. Bad jacket to have on your paperwork, man. That's the filthy. Honestly, that is to go into prison for that. So you'd have to look just like him. Couldn't have been cloned because you would have had to clone him 54 years ago. So it's not a clone type of thing. So you'd have to have somebody that's a body double. What do you pay that body double? You're not going to be able to spend any of this money. You could spend $300 a month for the rest of your life. We're going to get dope in you. What if they said that? We're going to send in enough dope to take care of you for the rest of the time you're there. Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? But there's no way you could even make any of you could not get somebody. That's just stupidity, folks. I'm sorry. It's just plain stupidity. We have gotten to a point where suspension of disbelief. We believe that if Diddy is involved, that is the Johnny Scoble. We believe that if Diddy is involved, then anything goes. Virtually anything goes, right? Like Bianca is AI, she's not real. Or maybe maybe we got a coffee shop in the tunnels that we're using to smuggle kids in and out of. I'm gonna get some hate mail. We'll do it over here on this channel so I can get the hate mail over on for Shaun, not me. Orlando needs help, folks. Think about this. How many people that seem to be in Diddy's sphere of influence end up doing some really crazy stuff, right? Honestly. Or how many people in Hollywood? Does anybody remember Martin Lawrence running with no clothing on out into the middle of the street and screaming that everybody was trying to kill him? It's amazing how many people in Hollywood go completely out there. I do believe that Orlando needs help. I didn't know that Orlando was married. I didn't know that he had a bunch of kids. You probably saw the picture of him at Christmas time, and they're all wearing the same Christmas pajamas and all that. There's been a woman holding down the fort with him for a long time. And my hat's off to her, because obviously there's been some issues in his life with chemicals. There's also been some issues in his life with chemical imbalances. He has some issues. And I think you can look back, obviously, child stars have not had it easy. We learned through the documentary that was made last year about the Nickelodeon debacle and everything that was going on at Nickelodeon. There are so many kids who were passed around to management, allegedly, or passed around to directors, allegedly, or people that were writing on the scripts, allegedly. But these kids became party favors, you know? And if you just watched any of the, when I did the deep dive on Nickelodeon, I was sick to my stomach. You know, I have a son who is currently in his 30s, and I used to plop him down in front of Nickelodeon, and I would go into my office and I would go to work. I worked in my house, and he would watch Nick for 4 hours. I didn't give a crap. It was Nickelodeon. What did I have to worry about? How about a facial in almost every episode? A young prepubescent girl would have liquid sprayed into her face. She'd either be opening a soda, or it would be whipped cream, or it would be a pen. But he worked it into, I'm not exaggerating, about every second or every third show. It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. And during the tenor of this scumbag, he changed the logo to a foot. It was amazing how many of the shows also had little girl feet in it. There was a guy making shows that perverted pedos would watch so that they could get off to the feet of little kids, or get off to little girls getting stuff sprayed in their face. And this was out there for the world to see, right? Drew Barrymore is a great example, isn't it? Drew Barrymore is an absolutely great example, because we know that when Drew was 14, she was addicted to crack, right? All the celebs get rugged, and then it can't keep it together. And then it's who can keep it together the best. I even noticed Skepta looked usually high at Westwood event in England, and then shortly after said he's quitting. We throw these people out, unfortunately. We watch them, they're entertaining. The greatest example of this in my lifetime, I think, is probably Amy Winehouse. There was no one on planet Earth that went, oh my God, she died from a drug overdose. Like, there was nobody on Earth that was shocked that Amy Winehouse had killed herself. And there's no other way to put it. I mean, that was a person that partied themselves to death. And she was singing a song called I Don't Want to Go to Rehab. And the rest of us were just kind of had our fist in the air. It's crazy when an artist comes out and says slavery is a choice, and you go, yeah, he's nuts. Well, is he? I mean, look at everything that came out with Prince and what he was doing by becoming a symbol, as they owned the rights to his music and all of the. Careful what you wish for. I wouldn't want to be a rock star. Well, it's a drug overdose. Any way you shake it. Absolutely a drug overdose of one of the most vile and disgusting drugs on planet Earth. It gets a pass because they make really cool commercials where animals count with their feet. And, Budweiser and Bud Light, holy hell, can they do an advertising campaign or what, man? Can they? Yeah, rest in peace, Prince, or anybody else that that it's been tough. I love that Drew came back from it all, and she did, Justine. Drew has really been fantastic. People like to give her a lot of crap because Drew still drinks. You'll see her with a beer in her hand that people like to give. Guess what? Stay in your own freaking lane. If you see somebody and you're like, yeah, she's not really sober, whatever the rest of that sentence is, finish with, I'm an ass. She's not really sober. I'm an ass. Anytime you're going to say that about anybody, they're not really sober, finish the sentence with, and I'm an ass. Because if you're out there talking about somebody else's sobriety, you're an ass. Stay in your own lane. For real. Especially if you're mad because she's having a cocktail or you're doing whatever. They traded one drug for another. Stay in your own lane. I promise you'll be happier. Yeah, so Wolfie, his parents gave Diddy guardianship, just signed it over for cash. Mom or dad doesn't really matter to me. I assume you're talking about Usher, right? I don't know. I don't know how it happened with cash or whatever. I do know that legal guardianship of Usher was signed over to Shaun Combs. However that went down, I couldn't answer that, but that did happen. You know who else was handed over to Shaun Combs by their parents? Anybody want to do this? Come on, let's see. Trivia. What other parent gave their kid to Diddy? I call out Holly weirdos whenever I want. Well, that's the spirit. Yeah, California sober, they like to say. That's just doing bong hits or smoking a joint. The Kardashians gave their daughter to Diddy to go on. Bieber actually did not get signed over to Diddy. This is Bieber went and stayed there for 2 days, but there was nobody had any, he didn't sign over his rights. However, when Kris Jenner's kid, which one is it? Which Jenner? Was it Kylie? Not Kylie, the other one. Who's the one that, Khloe Kardashian. Khloe went on tour with Diddy when she was 16. She doesn't play an instrument. She wasn't on stage doing anything like that. She had nothing to do. She was just like a deadhead goes on tour. Well, she was going on tour with P. Diddy. What do you think was going on backstage every night being on tour with Diddy when you're 16? Now, I'm not saying this. Kris sold Khloe to Diddy. I'm not saying that. I don't know what happened or how it went down, but I do know that Khloe went on tour with Diddy when she was 16. That is not open to debate. Ava Baroni was not sold to Diddy either. Ava Baroni's family are well-to-do. They lived in a very nice neighborhood right down the street from where Diddy had his house. Ava Baroni was never adopted by Diddy that we know of. There's no way to disprove that. That would be lovely if we could. But adoptions are not public record. So if by some chance Shaun Combs really did adopt Ava Baroni, then we wouldn't know. But I can tell you this, okay? Ava Baroni was not a poor white girl, which was the narrative. He was a rich black guy that was going to adopt a poor white kid. It was kind of like doing the tongue-in-cheek thing of all the rich Hollywood white people that adopt, like Angelina Jolie or any of those. It was him being funny. But her family, look, if you live on Star Island, you probably don't need to be adopted, right? I promise, Ava Baroni's not missing. She's trying to no longer be called Ava Baroni Combs. Can you imagine how bad that must be? Can you imagine if you were telling all your little 13-year-old friends, yeah, you know what? My other dad is Shaun Combs. Check it out. Look, this is us on. And then this breaks. By the way, if you've seen pictures of her, I would imagine that Ava Baroni is probably modeling. If she's not, I would say it's in her future. She is a very, very attractive girl. She looks like a model. She has taken down a lot of social media and is doing everything she can to not have her name associated with Shaun Combs, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you would do the same thing. Who the hell wants their name associated with the diddler, right? But she is okay, I promise you. Every time I do this, people will say she is stunning, Pam. Is she not? I mean, she's supermodel attractive. She really is. She's still super young, but she's a really, really beautiful girl. And I don't think she wants to have anything to do with Shaun Combs. It's an embarrassment, and I wouldn't either, right? Give the girl a break. Has there been any new court filings lately by the feds or Diddy's lawyers? I heard the court case got moved up. I heard that too, by just a few days, but it's very, very confusing because the court date didn't move, right? The court date is when we're going to start doing voir dire, and it has not left. You know, I mean, the time is still the same. We're looking at Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May. We start voir dire. Voir dire is the process where you bring in the jurors and you ask them questions. Do you know who Shaun Combs is? Did you happen to see the video of Cassie Ventura getting the crap kicked out of her? If somebody says they saw that video,